Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new Ninjago video here on the channel. My name is TannerFishies. In today's video, I just thought it might be a good idea to go through the entirety of Ninjago Crystalized thus far and talk about how the character of Nia has been treated following her sacrifice that occurred towards the ending of Ninjago Seabound. Obviously, before we jump into today's video, I must give you guys a very heavy spoiler warning. This video will in fact contain spoilers for the first 12 episodes of Ninjago Crystalized, so if you've not yet seen the entirety of Ninjago Crystalized, or at least the first half, I would recommend clicking off the video, watching something else, then coming back and checking out what I have to say about Nia's involvement in this new season, because honestly there is a lot of controversy surrounding Nia's return, I guess you could call it. Yeah, she did return in this season, obviously. Some people are calling it a little bit too quick of a return. Some people are saying that Nia's sacrifice doesn't really hold much weight anymore, and I just want to give my 2 cents on Nia's involvement in the new Ninjago Crystalized season, so that's exactly what we're going to be doing in today's video. I will say, in regard to Crystalized's first episode, Farewell to Sea, I thought they played Nia's sacrifice really well. They showcased where each of the ninja were following Nia's downfall, what they've been doing since then, and they mentioned that it's been a full year since Nia last disappeared. All of the ninja are feeling some type of negative effect of this loss right here. Everybody is sad about Nia's departure, especially Jay, who has very clearly lost his mind, so to speak, inside the lighthouse after Nia's sacrifice, and I love this tone. I hardly have any complaints right here in this first episode regarding Nia's loss, but the second episode, I guess, dives into Nia's downfall maybe a little bit too literally. Episode 2 of Ninjago Crystalized, The Call of Home, actually features a physical appearance from Nia, albeit in her water dragon form, but still Nia nonetheless. Later on in the episode, she meets up with Niad, the previous master of water, and they kind of have a little bit of a heart-to-heart conversation, talking about identity and their place in the world after they've merged with the sea. Whatever works, right? Nia eventually restores her memory, thank goodness, and sets out to find the ninja, ultimately though proving to be unsuccessful. She then talks with Niad about how she might be able to return to her physical body, and this is where the issues for a lot of people actually come into play. First things first, The Call of Home is a beautiful episode front to back. It is gorgeous in terms of visuals and I guess characterization of Nia. Also Niad is pretty funny too. But in terms of like Nia and her powers, basically this episode introduces the idea of Nia's powers being taken away and that restoring her to her human form, which I find to be a little bit too convenient in my opinion, but again, that's just me. They needed Nia to come back in some way, right? And even though this episode is gorgeous front to back in terms of, like I said, visuals and character, I can see why people have an issue with Nia's role, especially starting with this episode right here, The Call of Home. After Kai and Jay have their little scuffle here towards the ending of episode 3 of Ninjago Crystalized, where they nearly destroy the monastery fighting each other, we actually do get the big reunion between the ninja and Nia once she appears from a puddle of water following the sprinkler system going off there, and she's very weak here. Like I said, she desperately needs help. The ninja try to help her best that they can, and Zane ultimately ends up freezing her. I do like how that situation is played out though, Nia being frozen for a large majority of these episodes, and in terms of how Nia could have reunited with the ninja, I don't mind this per se. Maybe some people would have preferred her coming in last minute and assisting during the big final battle. That's personally how I expected things to go down. After the ninja break out Asphira from prison, they decide to use her to try to restore Nia back to her human form by eliminating her powers, and surprise, surprise, it ends up working. Nia is, of course, restored to her human form, and I'm not sure how to feel about this. I mean, 6 episodes in, reminder, we are 6 episodes in, and we already have human Nia. Some folks might consider that to be a little bit too quick, but ultimately I don't feel like it's that bad. I mean, we expected Nia to get returned to her human form eventually, right? And here it finally does happen. But like I said, the matter of how quick she was returned to her human form might be problematic for a couple of people. It would take a couple more episodes until we finally caught up with Nia and what she's doing in her human form. She has this nice conversation here with Master Wu during episode 8 of Ninjago Crystalized, where Nia just ultimately discusses how useless she feels to the team now that she's just a normal person, but thankfully Master Wu encourages her to get back on the horse, so to speak, and again, obtain her identity as Samurai X. Not sure what that means for Pixel, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Ultimately though, Nia decides to regain her identity as Samurai X and take up that mantle once again, and this is only a minute-long scene here. It kind of feels like we're speedrunning through Nia's story, getting her back on the team, and there's a reason for that we'll get into here momentarily. One of the last times that we see Nia during the first half of Crystalized is during episode 9, when she finally regains her identity as Samurai X and frees the ninja from prison somehow. Okay, that's interesting. She has her new Samurai X mech present and accounted for, and it looks pretty sweet all things considered, and as you can see here, Nia is back as Samurai X, which, yeah, yeah, I mean, if she's not going to be the water ninja, she might as well be Samurai X, right? But one of my biggest issues with this story right here, the Nia Samurai X subplot, is that it feels like it's not very significant to the season itself. I do get it though, in terms of balance and in terms of focus, the original Nia subplot is not super, I guess, applicable to this new storyline, which essentially just centers around the original 4 ninja and Lloyd. It seems like they're very much going with a 4 protector and 1 chosen one type of storyline like we saw with early Ninjago, and Nia isn't really going to be a part of that situation. She's not really a part of that storyline, so why even have her be Samurai X at all if she's not even going to be part of this story? If it were up to me, I would personally have had Nia not return as a Samurai X, not return at all rather, maybe until the big finale of Crystalized, because if Crystalized isn't really about Nia, why does she need to be here? It seems like they could have stored her away for the grand finale, had her make a grand return, probably not as Samurai X, but as the water elemental, having gained her memories perhaps off screen, or maybe in the episode prior. It certainly does feel like Nia is kind of an afterthought here to the actual storyline going on here with the original ninja and Lloyd. It very much seems like it's their story, not so much Nia's. So again, I question why Nia is even here to begin with. Also, in terms of tone and the feel of this season, like I said earlier in the video, I liked this dynamic between the ninja, where they're not really sure if they're a team or not. They have some, I guess, personal issues going on. There's a lot of infighting going on between the individual ninja, especially Kai and Jay right here. And I kind of wish that that feeling of, I guess, helplessness from the team itself could have played into later episodes, maybe even the entire season. That would certainly cause a lot of tension for the team. Imagine if they're facing the Crystal King and all of these previously established villains as a shell of their former selves, as a team that isn't really connected anymore, as a team that needs help and desperately needs to be one again, needs to be whole. I think maybe that would have been a better experience and a better tone overall for Crystalized. If they truly wanted to, Nia could have definitely left the series following Seabound, but I feel like the Ninjago staff desperately needs Nia here because there's a lot of Nia fans out there. It honestly just kind of seems like she's there in the background just kind of doing her own thing, and the story doesn't really know what to do with her, and that's my biggest problem with Nia's return during Ninjago Crystalized. Did the big return happen maybe a little bit too soon? I would say so, yeah. Maybe this episode we could have had maybe towards the finale of Crystalized. I think that would have been a better place to put this episode, and Nia jumps back into action and helps out during the final battle as this water elemental. Maybe the next season then we could figure out what to do with her human form. I just feel like in terms of Nia's return, the quickness of how it happened, the swiftness of her coming back, that's not my biggest issue. My biggest issue with Nia in Ninjago Crystalized is that the storyline doesn't really need her, and it feels like her being here is kind of diminishing her sacrifice a little bit, and also it feels like the storyline doesn't really know where to put her, what they need her to do, so they just made her become Samurai X again, right? I'm not a writer for the Ninjago series, so naturally I do not have the answers to how to fix this problem. I just feel like the storyline doesn't really know where to take Nia, and I'm hoping in later episodes we can actually get some episodes focusing on Nia and maybe what she's feeling, how she's doing, and maybe figuring things out along the way. That would be my dream episode for Ninjago Crystalized right there. But hey, let me know what you guys think about Nia's return down below in the comment section. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of differing opinions down below as well. And again, in terms of how I feel, I'm not really certain exactly how I feel per se. I just know that Nia right now in Crystalized doesn't really have the best storyline, the best role, and I'm hoping that that role improves as the season goes on. With that being said, guys, that'll wrap it up for my thoughts here today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, let me know down below in the comments what you think about Nia in Ninjago Crystalized. How would you guys have done things maybe a little bit differently? And how do you feel about her return happening so quickly? And obviously, how do you feel about her returning to her human form only a few episodes after her initial turn into the water form, into the water elemental? Thanks a lot for watching today's video, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed. My name is TannerFishies, and I will talk to you guys again later. Peace.